In this episode, Reconnecting Relationships Through Music, we have a special guest, Robert Alexander. He will be sharing how to use music for healing, rebuilding your relationships with your centered self, and the chakras, and reconnecting with others as we move through these challenging and changing times. We will share a few samples of the Chakra Collection in this podcast.
Robert Alexander is an audio alchemist located in Southern California. With his LifeRhythms business, he offers healing work via private sessions and designs unique personalized pieces of music to help his clients find healing away from the work that they do with him. Alongside his LifeRhythms business, Robert has a label signed music project called Ev Love. His music can be found on various platforms online. One of them is Bandcamp, which we'll have in the description in the notes. And Robert also was the creator and host of LifeRhythms Radio, an online radio show made to help you find relatable content that can help you create more of what you desire in your life.
Hi, Robert. Welcome. Can you please tell us and the listeners about you and your background?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you, ladies, for having me on the show. It's such an honor, truly. Well, as Angela was saying, I'm located in Southern California, and LifeRhythms is very, very near and dear to my heart. It's something that's rather unconventional, but at the same time, it's also a very important business. And I really love finding ways to work with individuals and working with groups and really helping you dive deeper inside what's really important to you. So you actually have tools to help you evolve, like coaching, But at the end of the day, working with these tools, it's so important. And at the end of the day, everybody has their own version of what happiness looks like and manifesting in their own unique way. So why not create support around that? And also I provide content for coaches and healers and other types of businesses as well. This is an entirely different business that I'm talking about right now. And it's more graphic design, sound design, processes. That's also an extension of what I was able to do in the corporate world at one point. So I found I'm like, I'm really good at what I do. I worked for a branding agency for a while. I used to do like print production art. And even to this day, I do some graphic design projects as well for clients and such. So, there's something really powerful with working with people who you really enjoy and working with clients and really being able to serve in that way. And my music project, going on to that realm, that's one thing that's very near and dear to me. That's the way I'm able to express myself and excited as I've been seeing this journey unfold. So there's been like a lot of powerful things, and I never ever want to come across as being really vague. But I figured at one point, if I ever start diving into different details for each business, I think a lot of people would just be like, what's going on? Like, what do I do? So I love working with people all over the world and based on what their needs are and how I initially meet them as well. If they're like, oh, I'm really going through something, I'll wear that hat for LifeRhythms and just gear them toward that path when it comes to like LifeRhythms business. When it comes to people like coaches and healers going, hey, do you do custom healing music so we own the rights to it? Because that's a very important thing. If you own the rights, there's no copyright infringement, like you own it, or you own a license to what I'm offering in that way, It's great to know that I have this ability. And I refuse to be everything to everybody. It's that's just not the path for me. I don't like to say I'm serving everybody. It's whoever is really feeling drawn to me. And at the end of the day, it's great when you have a community that's global and people that see, what I do. And, it's great to meet different people,
And Robert, can you share how, when you were working in corporate, what happened that got you to start doing, say, individualized healing with people? How did that happen?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, for me, growing up, I kind of feel like I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, it's not like I was diving into this like spiritual journey, just like, sure, like I'm spiritual. It's growing up in a conventional household, from the Jewish religion, nothing too extreme or anything from like the Reform. And however, when it comes down to, growing up and really, I started listening to Yanni and Enya when I was like 11 or so, and I'm just thinking like, I knew there was some sort of power, and I started listening to electronic music as well. And I'm going to be 43 this year. So we're talking like 1991, 1992. I remember hearing like rave music like in 1991. And I remember like junior high school kids were talking about this stuff, right? So I figured at one point, like here I am with this like relationship with music, right? And then lo and behold, like growing up and evolving, I'm just doing like a fast forward. Well, you got to find a job to support the bills, you know, and as you're doing your music. Well, I never thought of myself as being a spiritual musician or I'm a new age artist. It's more of, well, like the more I started waking up in my own way, because everyone has their own ways when it comes to waking up to whatever they want to believe in. It can be religion, it can be, you know, anything, like the way they want to cultivate their life. So basically, it was at the point where I was working full time for a global corporation, and I was over it. I knew, even with my corporate background, just growing and evolving over time. Like I was an assistant to a rabbi. You know, this is like pretty wild. You know, and it's like people are like, "You want to be a rabbi?" No. No, I mean, I was doing it so I can find a full-time graphic design position. And, you know, I was grateful enough to learn more about community and different things that way. So it's part of my journey. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I finally landed that career, or it was a job, because I was told with the interview, you know, there's no way up to get, you know, to be in the company, right? There's like no way up to expand. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there for a couple of years. Well, you know, it just, for some reason, whether it's the economy or just the timing, no matter how much I would be an employee for the corporate world versus being a service provider for the corporate world, those are two very different things. So in this case, I had a mentor who helped me on my journey, one of my mentors, and she was just like, you know, maybe you want to be a coach. And I'm thinking, there's so many coaches that are out there. And I'm like, how would I be able to tell what I do away from other people? So I just figured at one point, I'm like, you know, okay. So the more I started going on that journey, I called myself like a lifestyle development specialist. I figured I'm great at getting processes. And, you know, I never went to school for this stuff. I mean, I have like a lot of knowledge, you know, inherent, and also learning from various mentors. And basically there was another mentor in 2012. I was dating a woman who was she has a business coach, or I'm sure she still has a business coach. We're no longer together. We were together for a long time. And basically she was saying, you may want to consider finding someone to help you with your business. So I figured, okay. And I met with this gentleman who's in Wisconsin. We were doing like phone sessions. I still haven't even seen his face to this day, like in real time through a Zoom. You know, we've been doing this for 10 years, on and off so far. It's been almost 10 years in July, or maybe July or August, one or the other, probably July. But basically he was guiding me through a process. And I was like, wow, like this is phenomenal. Like, I'm not sure, because even with his modalities that he studied, that really blew me away, right? So it came to the point where I was doing guided imagery. And at one point I was doing guided imagery based on this process. I made my own, not to say I was copying him, but I really appreciated his format. And so I took the format and I just trusted my intuition based on where, you know, each person is at. And I remember guiding a friend at the time. This is around 2013. And I was also having a couple clients as like a lifestyle development specialist, even though I call myself an audio alchemist now. You know, it might sound too woo-woo out there, but I love putting the woo-hoo and woo-woo. So, you know, at the end of the day, you got to love comedy, you know, but at the same time, just being real about it too, you know? So I'm going through this long drawn out process without it being too long, because I started walking this guy through this journey, and he was just really blown away by what I was able to do. And at one point I was thinking, okay, at least when it comes to the affirmations, you know, and creating custom music, that's where it gets interesting. So I was hearing these people, these coaches and healers using their recorded affirmations. And I was thinking about this, you know, like, as I was saying before, ladies, when it comes to, there could be a person, you know, speaking really well. There could be the music that could be really strange in the background, or there could be the content that they speak. The music can be great. The person providing the content, his or her, their voice, whatever pronoun these days, you know, is basically, you know, sharing that information. But one of them might be off, that might throw the listener off. But I found this missing component. I was like, you know what? Why wouldn't people want to listen to their own personalized piece of music to bring them back into what's really important for them? Because something from the masses, that's great. You know, people can listen to, like, you know, major recordings and what have you. But when I'm working with somebody, it's like having their peak state song. for, for lifestyle coaches and what have you, or for those in the spiritual community, it could be a soul song. It's whatever you choose to work with it, So I figure, why wouldn't someone want their own custom piece of music along their journey to help them expand to what their version of the law of attraction is? I mean, we're all individual aspects of consciousness, some people say, and we're all part of this network, we're all wired differently. If we all like the same thing, then I would create something for the masses that everybody would like, really feel connected to. But the thing is, we're unable to please everybody. I mean, it's like having a hamburger 3 days in a row. It's like eventually they may want to spice up that burger at some point, even if it's a vegan burger or a veggie burger. But, at the end of the day, it's a custom piece of music is designed to help you wherever you're at, to have you come back to a state that you can remember. Like if you hear a song on the radio and you hear it when you were in your teens, you can hear it and it's like a time machine. It brings you back. It's like time travel. So I figure, why not create something that's really designed to really help one really re-access that state of mind that I had when I recorded the audio in session or recorded their voice in session. So they have a reminder basically. Anyway, so in essence, really recapping everything, like how did I get into it? I was a corporate burnout. I wanted to try something unique and integrating it into this business. I figured, well, there has to be a need. I mean, it might be like a luxury need to some people, but at the end of the day, there are people that are just like, wow, like that sounds amazing. Like, how do I get involved? Like, how do we do this? Because I think I might need this.
Beautiful. I think when you mentioned the time travel aspect of their own personalized recording, that really took me somewhere. I'm a Doctor Who fan from the 70s, 80s. So I love music and time travel. And I think taking an experience of someone and giving it to them as something that's at one point, it can take them to a point in time where they're at a peak state. It also connects them to that timelessness part of themselves. It's beyond time. I think that's time travel for me, is about that. What aspect of us is beyond time, so you can go anywhere with that part of yourself.
No doubt. Oh my goodness. People ask me, who's your favorite band or who do you listen to? I'm thinking it's like going to the grocery store to get food. Are we going to a farmer's market? Are we going to a higher end market? Who are we shopping for? Are we shopping for those that are, vegan? Is it a mixed party? It's me. Did you know, and I never knew about this before, there's the audio files. When you think of people listen to like PHILES, there's audio files out there listening, and you think that's what music is. It's not. It's actually called a mellow file. A mellow file listens to various pieces of music. Audio files listen to audio, like just sounds and other phrases, like different textures. Like if you hear like a refrigerator hum, a person might be into stuff like that, like sound altogether, versus a mellow file who's into specifically just like music, like songs and what have you. I had no idea. And I was just like, wow, if I knew that, I would have had an email address being like mellow file 821 versus audio file 821. Isn't that crazy?
I think it's important because there's also a growing group of people now that are listening to, I've forgotten the letters, but it's sounds of people brushing their hair and ASMR, so refrigerator sounds. It could be sounds in nature, but all of those sounds are basically the consciousness of the person waking up in the sensory system itself.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to play in the podcast a sample from your Chakra Collection music, which was released in 2021. So we're just going to play a sample. What made you create the Chakra Collection music, and how did creating the music or listening to that change you?
Ooh, you ready for a treat? Okay, you're going to love this one. So not too many people know this. I'm going to spill the beans in this episode, okay? And some people might look at me like, wow, what a quack. And I'd rather quack like a duck and I would rather just say it as it is. So I was going through a lot of blocks last year, and I was talking with one of the main mentors, so the one that was saying, you may want to consider being a coach. And she was doing kinesiology, like muscle testing. And she was like, you have like some sort of block from like a past life. Well, I'm living this life and I'm out here going la, 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 whatever, because whatever the hiccups are, we're human. We have our stuff, right? But certain things just didn't make sense to me. So there's a little bit more of like a deeper backstory to it. And I'm not going to get into some of the dramatics of it. But she also works with two other people that work together doing energy work. I don't question at all. Like I started waking up based on one of the other. There's been little increments of people popping into my life and helping me with more of my awakening journey. And so at one point, one of the people who was in this mix, I really didn't want to connect with them just due to various reasons of my personality. Just because the personality is like, I don't know about that or what's going on. But I'm telling myself, okay, hush, like, let's just trust this. So I was speaking with a person I felt more connected to. And she was saying, you know what? I'm getting the sense based on what's going on. Have you considered getting this one reading done, which takes place in India? It's called the Nadi leaves. So it's like Nadi astrology, Naadi, not Naughty. So it's a whole other process. And if anybody hears this and they're inquiring about it, I'm more than happy to, maybe share some information about that or share the information with the right person and, do it that way. But basically there's this information that's in South India and you're supposed to have access to it. And there's a reading behind it. They locate your leaf, which is like, it's located like on a spool. It's like a long type thing where it's written in ancient Tamil that's in South India. So it's really interesting to see what was going on. So long story short, before all that, this other amazing woman who does joint energy work with a gentleman who told me about this Nadi leaf process, because this guy has connections in India. She was saying, I'm just being called for you to create the Chakra Collection. And you can go, they could be anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm just getting the sense you may want to listen to these every day to get acclimated to this process. And I figured, okay, so do I listen to them from root to crown or crown to root? Like, how's the best way? Because it's not like I'm giving all my power away to, this healer or the one that does energy work. But I just wanted to know, like, the protocol. She goes, well, let's just see. Let's see where we go with it. So I think I was either listening to it at night before sleep, or even like when I was waking up. Maybe I was playing it both. I couldn't remember because it was last year. Time flies when you're having fun, And it came to the point where I was like, you know what? Even like my girlfriend at the time, like things ended in August of last year, and she was hearing this music because I would be at her home and I'd play it before going to sleep, and she would fall asleep. I would fall asleep to it. And I've created sleep music before. Like I had music on Insight Timer that has like 28,000 plays. Well, one sleep track that is, So I'm playing this, and she's just like, I think this is some of the best music you've ever written. However, not even however. With that being said, I was sending like each track, to the woman who's doing the energy work while I was, working on this stuff, right? And she's hearing it and she's loving it, and I'm just trusting this process. When I write, I allow intuitively, I just allow whatever is meant to come through will come through. So if those that are involved in the energetic realm, people that subscribe to that, great. Some people think it's intuition or inspiration, whatever we want to call it, whatever the information is coming through is how I usually get information to just trust, just be in that state. Some people call it channeling. Other people call it trusting one's inner process, creative process. I like to do what I can to cover all bases because I could just use one specific languaging and then it would just limit, other people. They would just get turned off by it. And my intention is for anybody who's listening to this recording to really subscribe to whatever they take from it. So ultimately you have something new to learn from, even if you hear this recording over and over again. So long story short, here I am with this recording. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just being inspired to share it. And I shared it with people. I was sharing this like behind the scenes, like, hey friend, like check this out. What do you think? There's a friend of mine in Colorado, and her mom ended up, and I don't want to get controversial, but she ended up getting like a vaccine, her mom. And basically she had a heart condition and she had insomnia. The doctors couldn't get her to go to sleep. I didn't know this until she told me afterwards. My friend, or old friend, she brought the music into the hospital room and she played it and her mom went to sleep. So I was just like, okay. So then eventually I knew like I had to get this thing launched. And even how it launched, it was crazy, because originally I was going to have the 7 chakras and then have one track going from root to crown and the other one on top of that going from crown to root. And just due to how things are and how the recording industry is. And I'm also somewhat knowledgeable with uploading recordings and which platforms do we use. It was crazy. And I was able to get it uploaded at no charge.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. Thank you. And yeah, so long story short, through my own healing journey, I was able to, have that. I was like, if I'm experiencing this, then I wouldn't be surprised if other people were able to experience this as well. And there we go.
How do you see working with the chakras is related to healing? And maybe you can share how music affects the chakras. Being a Reiki practitioner and Angela is a dance and energy healer, we would love to hear about how the chakras are approached by others.
It's a really good question. Well, how about this? If I start going off topic, then definitely, you can ask me again, because those are some really powerful questions,
Yeah.
So in terms of, let's see, and again, I'm more than happy to answer this as accurately as I can. So for me, I'm one of those people where, it's easy for the personality aspect of myself to be like, la, 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 chakras, blakras, whatever, But then there's other people that they swear by them. And I'm not here to dismiss anybody for any belief because that can change at any given moment. So the reason why I'm saying that is because when it comes to beliefs and when it comes to different areas, some people believe there's only 7 chakras. Some people believe there's there's so many more than that. There's the upper and lower. And there's so many schools, just like acupuncture, just like dance, just like music, so many genres, So for me, I don't know personally, and I'm being totally transparent and just letting the cat out of the bag, basically, when it comes to it. I know that people swear by chakras. They see colors, they can see the expansion. I see people do energy work and moving their hands. They could just get a feeling into certain things. There's certain representations, whether it's colors or a foundational, for the root. Of course, there's yoga practices that are based around the chakras. I mean, there's just so many aspects. There's so many dimensions. There's so much, period, just in that whole topic alone. So how does music heal the chakras? Well, I mean, I look at it like energy is a frequency. Mm-hmm. Music is a frequency. So why wouldn't music be energy? When we speak, most likely people say that we're using our throat chakra. And I kid you not, I've never taken a class on the chakras. I'm going based on me being human, having a human experience or however we choose to look at it, right? And in this case, here I'm creating music that's ultimately helping people. And they're just like, oh my gosh, how did you make this? So in this case, again, I'm not doubting myself as being the chakra master. And that's me being very transparent versus putting on some, I'd rather be in my truth and be as truthful as I possibly can about that process. So, and you're asking me, how does that work? Well, usually when there's a how, that usually means it comes from the mind. So the mind just wants to know, right? So at the end of the day, if we look at frequency and we look at energy, I'm not a scientist. However, I feel it. So for me, and some people, they can feel a color. They can feel an expansion. They can feel a clearing. They can also feel inspired to hear something. And how can I say it? When it comes down to the aspect of the music component, when I created my Chakra Collection, I trusted. I held the intention. I trusted. It came through. And people listen to it and they're going, wow, but I'm not here to tell anybody, well, this is the music to listen to, the chakra, because pretty soon I'll be creating a different collection for the chakras. That's why this is volume 1 on it. And it's going to probably sound entirely different because of where I am on my journey with my awareness and, where I've been thus far. So I'm going to be the last person to say, well, this one is guaranteed to help you open up your chakras. The thing is, whenever someone provides a healing modality, it's up to the individual to subscribe to it. So you can give me an amazing Reiki session, or Angela, you can give me an incredible, dance, movement type session. And I might be like, I don't know if I subscribe to that. But one other person could be like, wow, that's incredible, or vice versa,
Right. And each experience is different.
That's
each
right.
Time. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's why I do repetitive or using similar sounds, but using a different aspect of when I get into that part of the process when it comes to working with people, So I'm saying this too, because again, everybody's journey is different. And I really believe that however you resonate with it, however you subscribe to it, whatever you really take in from it, And being intentional with it too. I'm trusting if I'm really meant to receive this, then this is really going to vibe with me, or it's really going to relate to me. And if not, that's okay. There's other things that will, and I trust the right one's going to be revealed to me. How do I listen to this series? Which hurts do I listen to? So when it comes down to really the chakras in general, it really dives down to the personal relationship of where a person is. And there's no right or wrong. I can be like, wow, this is great. Tomorrow I'm like, I don't know why I'm not feeling inspired to listen to it. That's okay. There's no good or bad in it. It just is.
Right. And later on, you might turn it on and you might really resonate with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you may not. And just putting it on the background and just trusting, well, whatever I'm meant to get from this, I will. And,
right.
Some people, it's a very heady process. I think you're going to like this analogy really quick. I think you'll appreciate it. So I always thought it was the head and the heart, but apparently there's the gut. So the head would want to talk to the heart, right? And this just came through, almost like a month ago. I had this little shtick going on, So the head basically would say, hey, heart, show me all that you know so I can be just like you. Heart's like, sure, I'll cover your airfare. I'll get all your meals, your hotel room, everything. Just hang out with me for a while. I got you taken care of. I'll give you the playbook, even more. Anything you want, you got it. Brain's like, I don't know about that. Let me think about it. Prove it to me. I've been through this before. I've been let down. I don't know about this. This is kind of crazy. But hey, well, how can you really prove it to me? Prove it to me so I can trust you. I'm here. I covered everything. No strings attached. Like nothing to worry about. All good. But whenever you're ready, I'm here. Heart's like, I don't know. I just don't know. I got to protect myself. I got to protect other people. Like I got to make sure this is the truth. This is the way. Well, the gut's like the Uber driver or Lyft driver, or like Siri or Alexa. It's the compass. The driver. At one point saying, hey, hey head, hey heart, whenever you're ready to come up with like a unified decision, then I'll be able to get you on your way. But I can't just take one and like the other one gets like left out. You have to work together in unison so we can all work together. I can get you to your destination.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Thanks.
Robert, I'm going to share something that you have on the Bandcamp page for the Chakra Collection. And it says everybody has their own preferences and modalities when it comes to healing. And wherever you are, there are various modalities that are available to you. This collection is equipped to meet you where you are at, wherever you are at on your healing journey. So I thought that was really pertinent regarding what you just shared with us. So I wanted to just go a little deeper on what you were sharing and ask, what is the value of each person listening to their own chakra energy versus someone telling you, oh, your chakra is this, or balancing their chakra for them? When I listened to the Chakra Collection, I could feel my energy light up and move, and it got balanced, I guess. It was like when I listened to your music, it was like the energy was dancing in me. It was like I felt my inner world dancing. So what might you say is the value of a person listening to their own chakra energy versus someone else telling them what's going on?
Really good question, by the way. So when it comes to each individual, everyone's different. Like you never know where you're on one's journey. Some people might get lost. So if we choose to go through like the process of where I go when I work with people, it might make different sense in a good way. I might be in relationship to that, right? I mean, basically, when it comes to listening to one's intuition, like there's something you just know inherently. Like this feels right. Is someone saying, no, this is how it is, and this is how it's supposed to be? Well, I mean, that could be true. But at the end of the day, like, what does one really subscribe to, like, right here, right now? So when it comes to listening to one's energy, or when it comes to listening to their vibe, like, what it's like if you're walking into a room with like 15 or 20 people and they're giving you the stink eye, and you're wearing these clothes and you're feeling all confident and stylish, and they're just like, look at the three of you. Look at how you're dressed. Really? What are y'all doing like this? And gosh, you all speak kind of weird, kind of scripted. Like, what's wrong with you? And why are you here? Versus, and we're all looking at each other going, whoa, are we sure we're in the right room? So the three of us will be able to walk across the hall and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, Patty. Oh my gosh, Angela, like Robert, where have you been? We missed you. It's been a long time. Like, wow, you guys are so stylish. You can feel the vibe. I'll never forget my last partner. She had this one event and there were only two men that were there, me and the photographer who was a friend of mine. And I felt the energy in the room. And it's not about being, sexist or racist, but I felt the energy of all that female energy in the room. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was only two women in a room full of men. Chances are you'll be able to feel that energy. So when it comes to really trusting one's instinct and essence in terms of what's really going on inside, I've heard in many ways, and it's really easy for one, like there's times my personality, I get lost in the character, which is, I have a whole other analogy for that too. And I won't go down that tangent, not just yet, at least. But, at the end of the day, it's like we get to subscribe to what feels right. And sometimes if we feel lost, we might have invitations or suggestions. But there's some people that are so convicted, they know how to read us apparently. They're so on it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's like you bring in your vehicle, whether it's like a motorcycle or your car, to a mechanic, and you go to like three different mechanics getting three different quotes, and they all tell you three different things. Mm-hmm. But there might be overlapping material. So it's easy to get lost in what other people, I don't want to say everybody, because that's including all of us, right? So in this case, like there's certain times we may feel lost. However, deep down, we really have the answer inside of us. Like we know what may feel right. It might take a little while because the head might get in the way, or the gut might, the gut might want you to go in a specific direction. You may not know where, but you're like, okay, well, what's going on? So I really believe it's really important to really pay attention to what feels right. And if you don't know, that's okay, because there's no right or wrong. We don't have to know right now. And if we trust in information, like, why am I being called across the street while listening to this collection? Of course you cross the street safely. You don't want to get hit by a car, anything like that. But I mean, the reason why I'm saying this is because it's following that message, following the information. If someone says, well, what if you're feeling happy and someone says, you look really sad today? Mm-hmm. Like, they think you might look sad, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you feel that way. But if someone's like, hey, I really love your smile, you look really happy today, chances are you can be like, yeah, that makes sense to me. We could say the sky is blue and someone could say the sky is green. And we're like, okay, well, it's not about right or wrong. Show me your version of green, So when it comes really down to listening to one's individual like collection or one's individual piece of music, or we're feeling inspired to listen to a specific genre or whatever it might be, there is something inside. We may not even have to know the why of it, but at the end of the day, we know, like listening to it, there's something to take in from it. And if someone else tells you like this is how it should be, I personally would question it. Because if someone's telling me how to feel or how to think, and I didn't tell them, basically, like, hey, I need help with this, there might be, if I'm like, hey, I'm feeling confused, like, I'm not sure where to go, that's when it's great to get some suggestions. But it's still up to me to subscribe and align to what really feels right for me. But if someone's going to be giving information, like, that may not feel right for me, then chances are it may not be the right fit with the information. Same thing with music.
Great. And Robert, you live in California. After the pandemic, what are the changes you've seen in the community, the artistic community, the general community, the community? Maybe you can share what's happening for people in Ventura.
Sure. Well, first of all, I kind of feel not necessarily like a hermit. I've been here for a long time and I'm being more called to get down to the Los Angeles area. So from what I've seen though, and I'm noticing a trend. I'm noticing that, well, I don't really want to get too controversial or anything. So at the same time, I'm noticing there's a lot of changes. There's some people that are feeling rather eager to connect with other people. Some people are feeling more responsible in terms of, being aware that there's still a pandemic going on, regardless of any war that's taking place outside the United States. Where I live, it's more of a bedroom community, which means people usually would probably commute to work or they would work from home. So that is one trend I'm seeing. Some people are working from home more. For me, I work from home. I've been working from my own space since like the end of 2015, 2016, working with people and such due to my own choosing. And that's what felt right to me. And I'll never forget prior, people are like, are you looking for work? What's going on? And I'm like, honestly, I'm happy working, here. Like I don't want to be in environments where I don't want to be. I'd rather prefer to make the right relationships. I love, well, not make, but create and, thrive and really co-create some amazing relationships that are taking place. So I wouldn't be surprised if the more of I get a sense around here that people have been still getting a little stir crazy. There are a lot of families here. There's churches. There's different places of worship. There's different groups. I really don't know how many people really feel safe. I don't know if people are just resuming life how it should be. I'm using those air quotes, but I know for myself, for me, I feel pretty eager at times to just continue to meet people in a different way. I'm in a different place of my life right now. Since I guess I would call me myself a solopreneur, and I know people all over the world. Me working for myself, I delegate when I can. For instance, like marketing, I'm working with a marketing coach who's in New Zealand. She's helping me with my branding and what have you, even though I'm a graphic designer. And it's always great to get that help, So I think in some ways, many people are still experiencing isolation. I think a lot of people may not even know what's going on, but maybe internally there might be a change going on. People are experiencing bottoms, whatever that might look like. We're talking like mentally, emotional, spiritual, financial. Who knows? At the end of the day, I'm noticing though there is a trend. Like a lot of people, they're going through something, and it's a pretty big change, and they may not know how to navigate it. There's a dear friend of mine who's homeless because he was involved in a child custody case. He's not too far away from me. He's in a different part of the area, but I mean, it's just crazy. And with how times are with him having his business, he's in a major transition change. It's important for him to generate income. Well, money is energy. What are we willing to look at, especially, and the recording during this time is also Mercury retrograde. So it's a great time to reflect. It's a great time to reflect and see, okay, well, what's working right now? What's not working? How can we organize? Like, what systems do we have in place? So I think there's a huge shift that's taking place. The thing is, life continues to shift and mold. It doesn't really just like pause. It's up to us to pause and step back, and see where life is in the grand like movie, I guess you could say, or even though I guess you could say metaphorically, it's like a video game. I don't really play video games much, but like back in the day when I was a kid, I'd play Nintendo. Little Mario was there on the screen, hopping up and down, little fireballs and things like that, But Mario's not running around by himself, The person who's unattached, who could turn off the game, is still playing Mario. So I think we're being given the opportunity to look at this character and participate as these characters in this game, like looking at these changes, metaphorically, life. And saying, well, what feels right now? If we don't know, like, where can we have a deeper understanding? Some people can call that like an awakening. Some people can call it like a life shift or life crisis. But at the end of the day, I really feel like around here, and this area is pretty slow, and I'm not here to really judge the area, but I noticed that there is a lot of movement here. There is change that's taking place. And sometimes when we're in a slower environment, it's a bit difficult to see where the change really is going. It's a really interesting place there. I just came back from LA today, where I grew up, and I noticed there was a pretty big change. There was even this one area called the Third Street Promenade in Santa Monica. And I used to go there when I was like a teenager, like walking around, and I'd see stores change out over time, and I walk around there, and it's empty. I mean, there's so many stores that are just like gone, or for sale, whether it's inflation or due to the pandemic, just sales going online. I mean, there's just so many things that are going on for businesses. I wouldn't be surprised though, as the months and I'm sure even with the years, going by. Of course, opinions about, as with the vaccine, there's people going back and forth. There's a lot of intensity. There's a lot of heat, and I think at the end of the day, we're doing what we all can to find our own balance, right? I think that's a global thing versus it just being, in Ventura. So it's really been interesting to see what's been unfolding. And I think after a couple of years, as I'm hearing a little siren in the background, I always look at that like a sign, basically, I really feel like we're being given an opportunity to really look at what's most important for us and to us, and what really does feel right now. How is the best way to move forward in a way where, for me, when I look at this in my life, have the ability to go outside, just my own self. It's like, well, whatever I do, where can I reassess? How's the best way to navigate? How can I be there for other people? How can I meet them? How can I take care of myself and meet them with where they're at? That's like my gauge, And there are people that are not ready to connect with people like us. That's okay. I mean, some people are so consumed, like it has to be a very specific way, and that's fine. So regardless, lots of changes without being too broad or too specific. But I really do feel like things are balancing in certain ways and things are moving in certain ways. So it's this ongoing, I don't want to call it like a cesspool. It's like ongoing like hodgepodge, basically, of things that are changing left and right. That's my sense at least. I'm also living in an area where it's very, I don't want to say beyond conservative. I mean, there's great people wherever you go. At the same time, though, too, it is interesting to see. I don't really see what's really going on out there because I kind of tend to my own world to a degree. And it's not like I'm lost in different, I'm looking forward to actually joining more communities or actually, creating an offshoot of something that I can extend or something because, I know like a lot of people globally. I've met a lot of amazing people globally and, there's a lot of community all over the place that I just kind of chime into in different areas. But in terms of, the city, I'm really curious to see where things are going to be unfolding. Like I know prices are going up, I'm sure people are moving out of LA and people are retiring and, they're moving to this city, but then there's not much change in terms of like, cultural change that's going on. They kind of follow behind like how LA is. So things that are popping up here. It's like, wow, LA did that like 5 years ago. This is like the latest and greatest thing now. This is like maybe like 50 miles away or 70 miles away from where I grew up, So for me, I kind of get bored at times easily. So it's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to moving back to the Los Angeles area. There's just a little bit more progression going on with my flavor.
So, Robert, how can music help you in your relationships with yourself and others? And can you tell us about the genie in the headphones? What is that? And how can that help people and their relationships?
Okay. Well, the first question in relationship to music, we all have our interests, but we can hang out with a friend or a lover, or a family member, or even a colleague, or just hearing like a random song like in a grocery store or at a coffee shop. And we may not like it, but other people might be like, wow, this is amazing. So chances are, if I'm in my own world, I get to feel like, well, what feels right, just like food or going to a specific environment that's really going to fill me up. When it comes to working with somebody else and you're listening to it at the same time, at the end of the day, well, what does one both want to listen to, or both people inside that party? What's going to seem right? What demographic is it hitting? It's almost like it's pulling out the marketing hat or something, Our world starts with us, we don't see us unless we're looking in a mirror, right? We're looking through our own pair of eyes. So me personally, I mean, this is just my opinion. I'm not making anyone else's opinion wrong. From my own view, I see that we're all creators within ourselves. Like we have our own direct experience, right? So like, a year ago, I was listening to more like down tempo and chill out. I was listening to like Lemongrass and Escade, and there's a whole bunch of people that are like located like in Germany, like in Europe in general. Or now I'm listening to this kind of like modern alternative type music that's like reminiscent of like the '90s, but they just released music a couple years ago. These like young kids, and I'm like, wow, it's a whole different kind of vibe that I've been into, but. I'm also, sprinkling in some jazz, It's like, again, what really vibes with us? What really resonates with us? Like what do we subscribe to? What feels right? We can mix up the playlist and that's okay. So chances are if we're feeling it and we're feeling, soothed or calm, great. If we go to an event, which there will probably be more and more events, whether it's virtually or, in person, chances are whatever's going to be played or being played through airwaves, chances are it will create an energy in the room. Some people may like it, some people may not, So how does this improve relationships? Well, chances are if you're hearing a song on the radio, then of course, there might be music to bond to. If you go to a concert, people are going to be in a similar vibe of listening to whoever's there, or at least getting an appreciation of whoever's there. If there might be a way to bond. So why not put on YouTube and play, oh, have you heard that song in a while? No, check this out. Oh, wow, that's really cool. It's great to build relationship over music. It's frequency and frequency. We, even like the three of us that are connecting here, it's all frequency, which is super awesome. And at the end of the day too, I mean, how does this really improve relationships? Well, we all have belief systems, right? So if there's something that's made specifically to help one get into more of an ideal state, then chances are most, if people are more aware of how the person operates on the regular, well, chances are they might witness a change. If we do different things, we get a different result. Otherwise, we're just rebuilding the wheel or hitting our head against the wall, right? There's no point doing that when you can do a 180 and do a headbang.
Right.
You know, different way. So the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying is because music is a very delicate topic for some people. And at the same time, though, too, if we have something that's custom designed, and I'm not saying this to pitch, or not meaning to at least, then of course it's going to work with your own vibe. It's going to help with your own frequency. And if you're witnessing changes inside of yourself, you may feel differently toward the people that are around you. You may want to, create more vacancies in your friendship circle, even your relationship circle, to meet somebody who can meet you with where you're at now. I mean, that's what I've seen in my world. I've seen relationships shift dramatically over the past year. And I've seen where I am on my journey with my own frequency, even a 9-year relationship ending. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful to see where frequencies change. And so I figured, well, here we are in these states of mind. If we have different tools, whether if it's support, including music, or it could be even food. What kind of foods do we enjoy? What can we implement? What can we lower the volume on? What can we raise the volume on? Can we level out the mids and the bass and the trebles, And I'm saying this too because, there's so many delicate parts to that. But at the end of the day, the more that our frequency changes, the more we can see what kind of music resonates with us too. And which gets into this idea. For me, I do have music for the masses, like the Chakra Collection or stuff from my music project. And I have individual pieces of music that are made for specific occasions. But I had this idea with my business coach early December. And she was like, it would be cool to get an audio package there. And I was like, you know what? And I gave her some ideas. And I was like, I'm going to create one. It's called Genie in Your Headphones. She's like, that sounds really cool. So there's 5 different audio. I don't want to say it's like a 5-step audio process because it's not like you listen to this one and go all the way to 5. But there are 5 unique individual tracks, but they're all catered to your magic lamp, or clearing your inner castle, or connecting with your inner genie, or recharging the magic lamp. These are all different facets. And I walk you through, because I'm really good at being able to walk and use my voice to help people walk through, various processes, really being able to discover what your inner genie looks like. Your inner genie might look differently each time you do the recording. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's a very calm and comforting, very the way I'm speaking now is what you'll be hearing most likely in there, but it's very gentle process, So I'm not talking like, hello, and here is your inner genie. It's more of, hi, my name is Robert, and I'm here to help you find your inner genie. And even though, I'm there right there. I'm sorry?
I said that's great.
It's important to be authentic.
Yes,
If someone speaks like that, then that's great, Kind of reminds me of Dave Chappelle when he had the skit with Samuel Jackson Beer, and do you really? It's why are you yelling at me? He goes, that's just the way I talk. I figured I do my best. I do my best to be authentic. I don't really want to have some sort of scripted voice. Even though I was reading what I wrote, I really wanted to make sure the inflections and there was enough calming in there. And there are affirmations that are relevant to what the process was going through. For instance, if it was clearing the curse or removing the magic curse. In essence, that's really, we all have, clutter, blocks that are inside our minds, right? So these affirmations are all related around what's going on with the mind. So you're really affirming, feeling spaciousness, feeling freedom. If you're connecting to your inner genie, then there's going to be affirmations at the very end that are in relationship to the feeling the freedom and really relating to the inner genie and the magic inside. Mm-hmm. Because that's ultimately what the genie is the magic inside of you, and developing your own relationship with what that looks like. And again, these are tools to help you throughout your day. And this is the thing too, I always like to offer as a request, is that I tell people, I don't ever want you to stop, doing what you're doing. Oh no, you got to stop doing yoga to listen to this music. That doesn't make sense to me. It's mm-hmm. If you want to add more tools to your toolbox, so you can put some down and just take one out if it works, So these all work in tandem with your life. Whether if I do a private session and there's different ways to work with people, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to the custom music, there's a reason why that music was being made, so why not work with it in a way that works well for you? I mean, I'm not here to say, well, you should do this, but if someone's like, how can I make the most mileage out of it? I can give them suggestions. And if they have questions, they could always reach out. I mean, there's no like clear instruction book guide. I guess I don't have any kids, but I've heard like, raising kids, there's no instruction booklet attached. You just go based on what you, need to go with, based on what you've learned and what have you. So at the end of the day, I mean, you have tools. So why not utilize those tools in a way that work best for you? Otherwise, how can they really work?
And Robert, in regards to working with people, you've actually worked with a lot of people with specific, I don't want to say trauma, but yeah, partly that, stress, PTSD, insomnia, anxiety. So maybe you can share how you see music helping with those conditions versus just music as entertainment. How do you see the future of, maybe just talk about yourself and how you can see that expanding into people dealing with anxiety and PTSD, because a lot of people in the pandemic have a sort of PTSD of losing the world they had before the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, major shifts. I don't think I'm going to call myself an audio alchemist anymore. I think I'm going to call myself the Sonic Nostradamus. I'm going to come up with questions like forecasting, like, yeah. So you hear that? I'm no longer audio alchemist. No, just kidding. No, how do I foresee it? I mean, I'm already noticing this too. Like, music is medicine, right? So this is where it gets interesting too. Someone tagged me on a LinkedIn post and they were saying, hey, you may want to send your music over to this guy. And he was talking about broadcasting music for those that might have experienced like PTSD or trauma or things like that. Years ago, we're talking maybe 2013, maybe 2014, there's a friend of mine, and she actually connected me with a gentleman who has this access. It's called the knowledge. That's the access that he has. And he received this information. And basically he was telling me at one point, you're going to be creating 528 hertz music. And I'm like, okay, like, okay. But this is around the time that people started talking about, oh, I use 432 hertz music and all this. So that's kind of a bit of like a tangent, but it's all related to me creating my music, right? So yeah, I use 528, but if I use another digital audio workstation, chances are it's only going to be 440 hertz, but I'm sure I could find a workaround around that. So this friend, going back to my original friend who I was talking about, the one that introduced me to this guy with the knowledge, in air quotes, well, he has this process called the knowledge information. So it really wouldn't be air quotes. Really powerful stuff. Amazing gentleman. Yeah, there's just cool stuff yet to be determined with that as well, because he's incredible. The woman who I'm in touch with, pardon this little tangent here, she was saying, my neighbor's little girl has PTSD. Can you make something for her? And so I've never made music for somebody that had PTSD, and we're talking a little girl. And I made 2 tracks. I made 2 very different tracks. And I had her mom, the little girl's mom, listen to them. And she was sharing with the little girl the music. So I was like, which one did she like gravitate to most? And she said this one. And the song was called Giving Back. That song became the catalyst of my first studio album for my music project. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy, right? In a good way. So PTSD is no joke. Like, I know I have it. Many of us have trauma. I was born 2 pounds, 13 ounces, right? I was scheduled to be born in November of 79. I came out August of 79. And I have no problem broadcasting that for sure, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, for all I know, I could have had birth trauma, who knows? Losing a father, more trauma, But at the end of the day, like, what really works with us? How does music work? Well, I mean, there's a lot of scientific studies out there. At the end of the day, when it really comes down to what's really important to us, what relaxes us. I had a gentleman working with him in session. He wanted me to create something kind of like a metal, like not death metal, but just like heavy metal. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to, get this thing going, because whatever I usually create, it's not jarring for the system, but that's what really worked for him. When I work with somebody, in this case, when someone has like PTSD, there's ways I work with them. I'm not there to guarantee that they're going to be healed from it, but ultimately I can help them create more tools within themselves. And hopefully that can work in tandem with their own healing, because it's really them who's doing the healing, not me healing them. So I'm saying this because a lot of people, there's a lot of modalities that are out there that are saying this will help you or heal you from PTSD. There's people that use binaural beats, they use isochronic tones, they use Hertz music. At the end of the day, what do we subscribe to? You know, like we were saying, some people subscribe to chakras, some don't. So the future of music, I think there's going to be more of an acceptance of music. I think the people that are responding to it, the people that are really like, you know, music really does help me through this. Some people use ASMR, you know, some people use that. That's going to help them. Some people use guided journeys on YouTube. You know, some of the languaging on these YouTube videos say, listen for 8 hours and, you know, you will get healed, you know. You know, at the end of the day, what do we subscribe to? I'm not here to poo-poo anybody. But there's a reason why there's so many hits on these things. There's a reason why people listen to this. There's a reason why music is being played in massage. There's a reason why there's a lot of people that are really gravitating toward, some people call it new age music, some people call it ambient music. There's different apps that are called like Focus at Will. They have music to help you with studying. There's tracks that have like ambient settings in the background that have like cafes, like, you know, just like ambient music that's like, you know, behind, you know. So I really feel that there's more and more awarenesses alongside, you know, studies, and, you know, even with the Calm app or Insight Timer, you know, there's different pieces of music that are there to help you with the intention of you finding healing or whatever it might be. So it seems like there's a growing trend, not even like a fad, like a growing trend of mindfulness and awareness that's out there. And the people that really subscribe to music, because there are people that music's not their thing. They just don't relate to it. It is what it's, whatever, you know. They're more into, you know, watching movies, which still have music in them, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, I really feel like just like how things are going with different, you know, communities in terms of sexuality, different spiritual beliefs, even when it comes to like lifestyles, you know, does one want to be, you know, going out there and getting off the grid, you know, there's different groups and communities doing that. There's different acceptances. Well, that's even a word. There's different forms of acceptance when it comes to taking in music for healing. And just like those old Reese's peanut butter cup commercials, at least in the States, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. You know, everybody has their own version of what that looks like for them, right?
Yes.
No pies in the face, okay? Me being a little comedian here. Well, not so little, but I hear you. Yeah, that's where I go with it. I really feel like whatever one subscribes to, you know, you'll have more ways to segment what type of modalities are going to be right for each person. So I think it will definitely be more of a fine-tuned custom experience, even if you have a curated playlist, which is already taking place on different platforms. You know, ambient, you know, music for sleep, music for study, you know. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, everyone subscribes to what they listen to as well. No pun intended with Apple Music or Spotify or Pandora, you know. So, yeah, hopefully I didn't get too far off the soapbox on that one.
Robert, how can our listeners find you or contact you about your products, services, and workshops?
I think the go-to, to be honest with you, Patty, would be my website. That's a good hub, because if people want to find me on social media, they can find me through LinkedIn, they can find me through Facebook, Instagram. I'm one of those people where I'm more old school. Like I won't mind actually having a phone call or doing like a Zoom call, you know. But the website's called LifeRhythms.us. So it's LifeRhythm as in Mary S.us. So LifeRhythms.us.
Great. And we'll have that in the show notes. And would you like to tell us anything more about your products and services?
Absolutely. So at least with the LifeRhythms business, I'm doing private sessions. So there's different ways where I'm working with people. And usually I start off by, if they're interested in having music that's designed for them, then there's ways I'll be able to do it that way. And they're like, oh, I love working with you. Like, you're amazing. Like, I need to work on some other type of stuff that I'm going through. other types of stuff that I'm going through. So I'd love to work with you for longer. How can I do that? There's different ways where I'm actually able to work with my clients that way, right? On top of that as well, again, if there's somebody that's working and they need music for, custom videos, or they need, other areas in relationship to creative content, I can actually offer that as creative content solutions. I know this is specifically toward like LifeRhythms, but there's other ways where I'll be able to work with businesses as well. There's collaborations, there's partnerships, joint ventures, basically. I mean, there's so many ways, but based on whatever you're looking for, chances are I'm more than happy to find a way to connect with you in a way that works best. So hopefully I can serve. I could or connect you with other people like these two amazing ladies that are interviewing me. So I'm really grateful for your time today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Robert.
Yes, thanks, Robert. I think we connected on LinkedIn years ago, and you've always just stayed in my LinkedIn feed as that gentle, nourishing, nurturing presence. So thanks
Facebook
for staying
too.
in
I think
touch.
you're in touch through Facebook as well.
Oh, okay. That's
Maybe.
right. It's feels like another planet, Facebook, for me.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, what a blessing. Really, truly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And Robert, is there anything else you wanted to share with the listeners?
Sure. I'm so grateful for everyone taking the time to listen. I mean, and I really appreciate what you two ladies have been able to create. And I really feel like it's super magical and really powerful. And these interviews, in terms of what you've created for this platform, is really helping bring more awareness of the planet. And everybody has their own version of what they believe in and what they're up to. And I know that whatever unfolds from all of you listening to this recording, that hopefully you'll be able to take something away, whether if it's a takeaway or like a little nugget, whatever you subscribe to in terms of verbiage and terminology. It's been a pleasure, giving you this information. And any way I can truly help in a forward-moving way, I'm more than happy to connect with you. So, wherever you are in your journey, whatever that looks like, my biggest intention is for you to feel the way that you want to and be able to create what you want and what you need with tools and resources like this amazing podcast is there to help. We're all here to help.
Thank you, Robert, for sharing with us and our listeners. Robert sure did give us a lot to think about on how music connects us. We would love to hear your tips, strategies, or inspiring stories on building better relationships at home and at work, or about this podcast topic. Thank you so much for listening.